All right, guys, so today we are doing an introduction to the next lesson, molecules of life. So there are 4 different biomolecules or larger molecules that play huge roles in the human body. But for this week, we're only going to focus on carbohydrates. So the vocabulary for carbohydrates ends about here. So we'll talk about what all of these words mean: carbohydrate, monosaccharide, disaccharide, and polysaccharide. So first of all, where do carbohydrates come from? And warning in advance, this PowerPoint may make you hungry. It definitely makes me hungry. So first, where do they come from? I think a lot of us would consider carbs to be some of our favorite foods: breads, pastas, rice, and then getting into sugars as well. So fructose in fruits, sucrose, dextrose, thinking about candies, cookies. Basically, all of these sweet things have carbohydrates in them. So what are they used for? Carbs are a big source of energy in the body. So thinking about if you're an athlete, if you have a game or a race the next day, a lot of times your coach will tell you to carb load or eat pasta, really bulk up on carbs before a game. So that helps to store up extra energy in the body. And we'll also talk about how carbohydrates can be used for structural materials as well. What are they made of? Carbohydrates are made of 3 different atoms: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And another important thing to mention here is the ratio. So the ratio of carbon to hydrogen to oxygen atoms is always 1 to 2 to 1. So for every 1 carbon atom, there is 1 oxygen atom and 2 hydrogen atoms. So for example here, we have a molecule of glucose. So that is a carbohydrate. It has 6 carbon atoms, 6 oxygen atoms, and 12 hydrogen atoms. So it follows the ratio of 1 to 2 to 1. Before we start talking about what carbohydrates are made of, just as a reminder, monomers are smaller molecules that combine together to form polymers. So when they bond together, again, those smaller pieces come together to make larger molecules. And that process happens through a condensation reaction. So keep that in mind. So carbohydrates, the monomer of a carbohydrate, or the name for these small molecules of a carbohydrate, is called a monosaccharide. So mono means 1, and saccharide is referring to sugars. So these are called simple sugars. They give you quick energy. For example, if you eat a donut or something else that's sweet and sugary, you might get a quick burst of energy. Sometimes we call that a sugar high, and then your energy lowers. So those are quick bursts of energy. Some examples of these monosaccharides are glucose, fructose, and galactose. So glucose creates energy in cells. It's a source of energy in cells. Fructose is the type of sugar that you get from fruits. And galactose is a type of sugar that is found mostly in dairy, but also eggs and meats. So when we take those monosaccharides and connect them together through a condensation reaction, we get our polymers. And a polymer of a carbohydrate, we have polysaccharides and disaccharides. These are both complex sugars. So when we say complex sugars or complex carbohydrates, they give you more long-lasting energy. So things like whole wheat bread and pasta give you more long-term energy than just a quick sugar high from chocolate or a donut. So a disaccharide, remember the prefix di means two, is two monomers connected together. So two monosaccharides bonded together makes a disaccharide. A polysaccharide, poly means many, is three or more of these monomers bonded together. So if we have three of these guys connected together or more, it could be 5, 10, 20, 100, that is called a polysaccharide. And again, polysaccharides and disaccharides are both examples of polymers for carbohydrates. These bigger molecules of carbohydrates that are made of many smaller pieces, many monomers. So, taking a look at some examples of different polysaccharides, these big carbohydrate molecules, we have them stored in different ways depending on the living thing. So in animals, we create these polysaccharides called glycogen. Glycogen is they're long chains of glucose that are stored in the liver and also in your muscles to provide quick energy when you need it. So again, if you're about to run a race and you need to sprint, your body is going to use that glycogen to release energy and keep you moving. In plants, we have two examples of polysaccharides. We have starch. So these are branched and unbranched chains of glucose. So if you remember, when plants are making their food through photosynthesis, they take in water and they take in carbon dioxide and they release oxygen and they make glucose. So that sugar is their food. We also see in plants something called cellulose, and those are straight chains of glucose that help with the plant's structure. So cellulose helps to make the structure of the plant, its stem, its bark, the support to hold the plant up. That is what cellulose does. So it provides support in a plant. And that is it for today. So that is our summary of carbohydrates. Again, carbohydrates are used for energy in the body and also for structure. For example, in plants, they always have a 1 to 2 to 1 ratio of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms. Their monomers are called monosaccharides. And when you bond those monosaccharides together, you get polymers. One is called a disaccharide that's made of 2 monomers, and a polysaccharide is made of 3 or more monomers bonded together.